Jeff Gordon found himself in more than a few conflicts throughout his Hall of Fame career. Clint Boyer, Brad Keselowski, there were others. For the drivers, it's just part of racing. Those emotions run even higher for those battling up front with more to lose. That's where the number 24 car was much of the time. He won 93 times. This week, NASCAR announced it was changing the format of how it will award drivers in the upcoming clash at the Coliseum, disposing of the traditional one winner takes home the trophy way, for the top 3 receive a medal on a podium, like in the Olympics and other racing series. The change quickly drew fire from a large segment of fans, some suggesting NASCAR is just copying F1. Gordon sounded off on the subject and took a position that he firmly stands behind for a single reason, but fully understands it can and more than likely will backfire in his face. Jeff Gordon was in the spotlight for the last 25 years as a driver and then broadcaster with Fox. He's been a lot quieter in the last 2 years since transitioning out of the broadcast booth to the role of vice chairman at Hendrick Motorsports, the heir apparent when Mr. H eventually decides to step down. Since assuming his current position, he watched Kyle Larson dominate and capture the 2021 championship, followed by Chase Elliott winning the regular season championship and coming up short in the championship for this past season. In other words, he's overseen an HMS team maintain its high standard of chasing championships the last couple of years. Before the start of the 2023 season, the second in the next-gen car, Gordon appeared on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio to address a variety of topics. Among them, reflection on Kevin Harvick's career as well as expectations for HMS in the upcoming season. He thinks they're going to be much better. It was near the end of the more than half-hour-long conversation when the 3-time Daytona 500 winner was asked what he thought about NASCAR and its recent announcement of last-minute changes for the awards ceremony at the exhibition clash at the Coliseum. Instead of the traditional one winner, one trophy approach, which Joey Logano did the honors in the race's inaugural run last year, there will now be a podium where the top 3 drivers are recognized. And in the spirit of the Olympics, which have been held twice in the storied stadium's history, with another one scheduled in 2028, the drivers will receive gold, silver, and bronze medals. Unsurprisingly, there was considerable reaction to the news. Many suggested that NASCAR was copying F1 yet again. First, the one lug, which debuted last year, and now this. Others were okay with it if it was just limited to the Clash and nowhere else, which is the case. And then there were those who suggested, don't just limit it to the Clash, let's do it for all 36 races. Enter Gordon, who, for the record, was the recipient of such an award ceremony after winning at Atlanta in 1995.
I'm a big Formula One fan, and so I think the podium makes sense. And you guys brought it up yesterday, or maybe it was Moody on his show, but brought it up where, in other forms of racing like Formula One, some guys are just happy to be on the podium, right? They're like, hey, man, third was great today. But in NASCAR, usually if you're third, you're upset because you didn't win, and maybe so. But the thing I would enjoy is, now you get those 3 guys. Let's say they had a great battle or they were bumping and banging. I want to see that unfold, not with my drivers, but I just think I'm still old school, right? I go back to some of the great moments of the sport, and it's when there's tension, when there's rivalries, when there's moments where you see the raw emotion of a team or a driver when
Texas 2014.
If they either won or lost. So
for instance.
I'm okay. I want to see those 3 guys. Listen. Maybe the guy that finished first got spun out by the guy in second.
Moments later, Gordon admitted his feelings had changed toward conflict and tension since his days behind the wheel. He would have never wanted that back then. He also candidly acknowledged his drivers and crews wouldn't like what he had to say and would likely give him a hard time for his perspective on podiums.
My guys, when we're the drivers, crew chiefs, when we're talking, they hate it when I bring stuff up like that. They're like, oh yeah, TV changed you, and I'm like, listen, I just look at the sport a different way now, and I want it to be competitive. I want it to be phenomenal racing. I think we have the best race in the world. But I want to see some drama, I do. I want to make sure we're on the good side of it, but sometimes we're not. And if that's good for the sport, and everybody's safe, then I'm okay with it.
Gordon admits right there that his team will sometimes be on the wrong side of drama. Think back to last year at Watkins Glen. Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson on the final restart. Larson wins after he uses up Elliott, who finishes 4th. But what if Elliott finishes 3rd and is forced to stand next to Larson for a few uncomfortable minutes after he's already gone over to Gordon and Hendrick and vociferously complained about what had just happened? Jeff Gordon better be careful what he wishes for.